This is not my first legal rodeo. That was the response from Winston Peters today, following a formal threat of legal action from former Australian politician Bob Carr.
The letter is a response to allegedly defamatory comments the Foreign Minister made about Carr, but Peters says he won't be cowed. Here's political reporter Jamie Insall.
There's geopolitical issues everywhere, and today's topic, China. Winston Peters rolling out New Zealand's well-trodden lines about our differences with our biggest trading partner.
Serious concerns about human rights, about abuses, growing tensions and hardening rhetoric across the Taiwan Strait. We are seriously concerned by increased engagement in Pacific security sectors.
But it's differences with former Australian Foreign Affairs Minister Bob Carr that's stealing the limelight. Carr's lawyers have written to Winston Peters regarding comments he made about the Australian on RNZ. Newshub's obtained the letter, which says they were indefensibly defamatory and had no basis in fact, and that they were placing Peters on notice that they're now in the process of instructing New Zealand lawyers to advise in relation to the immediate commencement of defamation proceedings against him. Peters wasn't initially so keen to chat about it all right after his China speech.
The purpose of this press conference is to talk about what I've just talked about.
But it didn't take long.
I'm not going to get deviated on this matter. This is not my first legal rodeo either. I'm not cowed like you are in standing up for the rights and principles of a free society.
Winston Peters said he hadn't yet seen the legal letter and urged others not to rush to judgment about what happens next. And he continued to criticise Carr for appearing at Labor's anti-AUKUS event at Parliament last month.
I would never go to another country and start telling them what to do on a major issue like that.
Speaking yesterday, Prime Minister Christopher Luxon said that Peters' remarks weren't ones he'd make himself, but they were made in the rough and tumble of politics. Labor says that this is embarrassing for New Zealand and is doubling down on calls for Christopher Luxon to remove Peters from his foreign affairs role.
The Prime Minister needs to show some leadership here. Winston Peters should not still be in that role.
Even if that means sacking one of the coalition party leaders from a top ministerial role.
Ultimately, Christopher Luxon should be putting the country's best interests first, not his own political interests first.
All eyes are now on whether Carr's lawyers follow through on their threat.
Oh, kia ora, Jamie. So legally, what happens next in a situation like this?
A letter threatening legal action is very different from actual defamation proceedings. It is now on Bob Carr's legal team to lawyer up here in New Zealand and instigate legal action in a New Zealand court. Chris Hipkins says that the Prime Minister should act in the country's best interest and sack Winston Peters as the Foreign Affairs Minister, but Winston Peters would not take that lying down. It would cause significant instability within the government and the opposition would reap the reward. To be clear, Winston Peters hasn't attacked a sitting Australian politician. Bob Carr is a former Aussie Labor Minister with very clear views opposing AUKUS. Winston Peters denies this has had any strain on New Zealand's relationship with the Australian government, which of course is pro-AUKUS. Winston Peters is also making political hay out of this whole thing. Soon after his press conference this morning, his ex-account posted quotes from him saying he's not a coward and he was standing up for other people's rights.
Jamie, thank you for that analysis.